Hello and welcome back to Hockey Talks. I'm Carl. It's Dave. I'm going to go over a lot of stuff that went on down on the trade deadline on Canada Day, July 1st. There were a lot of things that happened, including a new home for Steven Stamkos. Golden Knights making a kind of a splash. They added a goalie. But I want to start with the Toronto Maple Leafs, who had a few good signings. I think what a lot of people are talking about the last few days, or last few years, is they need to bolster their goaltending and their defense.
Seems like they're working on it.
They added a few good signings. Defense, they added Oliver Ekman-Larsson, which, I mean, if he can play well, like he does, he has his hit and miss times, but he can be a very good defenseman, just coming off of a Stanley Cup win with the Florida Panthers. I think it's a good signing for the Leafs, and they end up getting him on a 4-year deal, $3.66 million per year. So I think it's reasonable, and it definitely will help him on defense, I think. So along with another defenseman, they also added Chris Tanev, and Chris Tanev is an absolute workhorse. He, as you can tell by his lack of teeth, how many shots he gets in front of, and he plays from the heart, man. He'll be a grinder and great for the Leafs, I think. I think that's something that Leafs need.
Yeah, they're piecing it together, one piece at a time. It seems like this new coach might already be making some ripples and maybe building a bit more of a team that he sees. I mean, if you think back, I think previously he was with St. Louis, right?
Chris Tanev?
The coach, yeah. I think it was St. Louis Blues.
Yeah.
Where he previously was. Yeah, and if you look at the team, the style, I mean, I could be wrong.
But Craig Berube.
Yeah.
Yeah, the head coach. Yeah, he was St. Louis.
Couldn't remember his name. Yeah. But yeah, if you look at the team that he built with them, the strong on the D, strong goalie, you combine that with Toronto Maple Leafs power forwards, the only question that's, I think, left to ask is what's happening with Marner. Did you mention? Yeah. With the goaltending, with the defense, now they have the forwards.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting to see. I know that there's that no sign clause, so if he doesn't want to leave,
yeah, they kind of have to hang on to him, right? If
yeah.
he doesn't want to go anywhere, he has this no trade clause that kicks in till I do believe next year.
Yeah,
I do believe next year. Also, that thing drops, but I think he becomes also a free agent at that point. But yeah, so far no word on Mitch Marner. Ryan O'Reilly out of the Nashville Predators made an interesting point, saying he was trying to convince, reportedly, that trying to convince the Nashville Predators to make an offer of Marner. That hasn't happened so far. I'm not 100% sure, just hearing reports of it. But we'll see where it goes from there. But so far, nothing on Marner. So far, he's staying put.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll see what happens from there. But it's I think it was a good draft good free agency by the Leafs. They let go of a couple of guys here, but made room for Ekman-Larsson.
Yeah,
that's Chris Tanev, extending Joseph Woll.
Yeah.
And the goaltender, Anthony Stolarz from the Florida Panthers as well. I think he'll be a great
addition
to Toronto lineup as well, as they're looking to identify a new team coming up for this season, and hopefully make an actual push into the playoffs this year.
And it's just to recall too, it wasn't necessarily all about the goaltending and the defense, but with that new coach, I'm hoping they're able to maybe change the way they play a little bit, so it prevents those skated up, deke everybody out and shooting scores. What they need is to be able to shoot through traffic, play the net, similar to Hyman, right?
Yeah.
Get those goals.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see where it goes from there. They got some new additions. They might not be done yet. We'll see what happens throughout the rest of the off season. But there were some other deadline acquisitions as well. Like I said, the Golden Knights got Samsonov on a 1-year deal. I think, if Samsonov can play well, he has some really good spurts for the Leafs, right? So I think Golden Knights are taking a risk signing him, but on a 1-year deal, they get to see what happens with him, how he's going to perform, right? So I think it's not a bad deal on him. It's like I said, it's only a 1-year deal, so give him like a trial run pretty much. But
well, and you never know how it works. Sometimes if you just change who you're with, similar to a company with who you work for, sometimes you just need a fresh breath.
Fresh start. Yeah. Fresh start. Absolutely. Yeah. And that could be what Samsonov needs, right? Yeah. I mean, he had some time away for a while there, and it seemed to help him refresh. So maybe a new team.
Well, yeah. So often we think of a new team being like just. We don't really understand what a new team means to a player specifically. It's a whole new chemistry building, and for all we know, there could be players that jive with his style of play a lot better than the current status quo in his current lineup. So I think it's kind of like a new job. If anybody were to go out and work a new job, you're an all new player. And look at what happens when you work more than one type of job. You get better at whatever it is you're doing. Similar to if you play in more than one team. Look at what happened, for example, to Hyman, where he plays a team or two. You get to absorb the information out of many, many different players.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what makes a good goaltender as well. Look what happened to Fleury when he went to Vegas after Pittsburgh, I believe. He was a star. He was a stud, complete stud for him.
Yeah, yeah. Right? I mean, that Fleury thing. I mean, he's a good goalie overall, right?
Yeah.
Pittsburgh clearly didn't want it. They wanted to move on. So I think, he became the number one goalie for a while in Vegas and stuff like that. And then Vegas kind of tossed him around, and he's found a good home, I think, with Minnesota now. Fleury, I think he's signed one more year in Minnesota. So we'll see how much he goes after that. But like you said with Samsonov here, it's a fresh start. Going to be a new season. He can start over. New teammates, right? And he takes all that experience he got from Toronto, and he can bring it with him and hopefully have a great season.
Yeah, hoping well for him. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, hopefully he lands on his feet and he performs absolutely well with Vegas here. But the big signings were for the Nashville Predators. Barry Trotz made some big moves in free agency, including the acquisition of Steven Stamkos. Man, it's going to feel weird not
seeing him in yellow.
It's going to feel in those ugly yellow sweaters. These ugly yellow sweaters.
I like them. I
don't know. I prefer the old black, yellow, and silver. I don't know. But the yellow is just a little much, I think. But anyways, it's going to feel weird and look weird seeing him in a Nashville jersey rather than a Tampa Bay jersey. He signed I do believe a 4-year deal worth I think it was around $8 million a year.
So where do you think that came from? Like
there's a lot to do with the management in Tampa, I think. Ultimately, I think Stamkos would have loved to finish his career in Tampa, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what he would have ultimately wanted, but he felt. And I think they made it pretty clear that they wanted something different. And they didn't want to pay him the money he was asking. And that ultimately led to him going in free agency for nothing, which I think they could have handled it a lot better than they actually did. Instead of just hanging him out to dry pretty much for 2 years straight. Like whether or not he's going to be re-signing, they're going to offer him something. I don't know. It's just Stamkos repeatedly said there was nothing coming down from upstairs, right? He was waiting for something, and nothing ever came of it. And at the end there, they just said, it's
see ya.
Pretty much see ya, yeah. And he opted to go and try his luck in free agency, and obviously somebody was going to get him, right? I think he still has some great years, like you said. He had 40 years. He had a 40-goal season last year again, right? He's still performing at a high level, and I think the pickup for even only on a 4-year, I think the 4-year was actually really good for Stamkos deal, because he is already 34 years old, so that'll be 38.
Yeah.
Right. So, but. See what he does in Nashville.
So, what do you think Tampa has in mind then?
Well, they re-signed Victor Hedman.
Okay.
They brought in, I'm blanking on his name. I'll come back to this name.
No, it's okay.
Here yet. He played for. Well, I'll come back to that name. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what Tampa's.
What they have in mind?
Jake Gensel.
They
signed Jake Gensel to like a ridiculous 8-year contract, something like that. That was a big name. That was on there. The Canucks were trying to get him. Ultimately, he went to Tampa. But yeah, they did replace him pretty well with a goal scorer. But it's I mean, I don't know.
We'll see what they do, down the stretch. But I'm excited to see what he does in Nashville.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, he's got a lot of great guys around Nashville. Nashville made a push. They got into the playoffs. They ultimately lost to the Canucks in the first round, right? But they had a lot of promise in their lineup right now, and they've added some good key pieces. Like they re-signed Saros in net.
Mm-hmm.
They added along with Stamkos. They added Jonathan Marchessault, right, from the Vegas Golden Knights, and also Brady Shea. Mm-hmm. Really, really good key defenseman from Carolina. He's also going to bolster that blue line. So I think Nashville is setting up to be a really, really good team in the following 2024-25 season.
Could almost say they're setting up to be the Predators.
Aha, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah, they sure are. There was a lot of stuff going on within the first 24 hours. I think there was something like $2.4 billion or something like that spent in free agency. It's ridiculous.
It's quite a bit. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. Maybe $1 billion was a wrong number. I don't know.
It was a big number
within a very short period of time.
More money than I'll ever make, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of so it'll be an exciting start to the season. But starting the season, Connor Bedard, we talked about Macklin Celebrini last week with the draft.
The draft,
right?
yeah.
The draft and him going to the Sharks and stuff like that, right? So Connor Bedard last year won Rookie of the Year, and for the beginning of the year, I can't remember what date did you say? October 17th, is that right?
I think October 17th is going to be game 1, and it's going to be Chicago against San Jose Sharks.
Yeah.
And Bedard last year, if you didn't know, I think he got just north of 60 points, like 61 points.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be interesting to see how a guy is small, because Bedard's a fairly small guy, right? Mm-hmm. How he keeps performing. And I know sometimes in the drafts, it's not usually the number 1 pick that you'd think that makes it the furthest, right? So it'll be interesting to see how those two jive together. And I know we have quite a bit of time to wait, but I think it's going to be a bright future ahead in the NHL. And I mean, even if you think back, who knows, maybe next year Bedard is going to actually be a player that busts 100 points. And how cool would that be in his second year?
Yeah,
it brings me back to even guys like Sidney Crosby. His first year, I don't think he broke 100 points in year number 1, but year number 2, he broke 100 points, and the rest is history from there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It could be another breakout rookie here coming in here. Bedard also had a missed time with a broken jaw.
Yeah, it was 60-some points, 61 points, I think, in 60-some games, I think.
That's pretty good, yeah. I mean, for the rookie year, that's pretty good.
If he would have played all games, it would have put him right on pace with probably 90 points.
Yeah. So that's potential. He could definitely reach 100 points next year.
Yeah.
I definitely don't doubt that. So those two will meet about October 17th in the new year. It'll be exciting to see how they match up and be playing against each other. They played on World Juniors together on Team Canada, right? So them facing each other, I think it'll be a good matchup, even though we know it's San Jose against Chicago. It's been 2 of the bottom teams, but I think the future is looking a lot brighter than it has the last couple of years. So we have something to look forward to, something exciting for when the season starts, plus all the new acquisitions that have taken place over this summer, and we'll keep you up to date on.
And one more thing too, I think I heard the Kraken just signed the first. Was it the Kraken that just signed the first in history woman bench person?
Yeah. It was
The Seattle? Is that Kraken?
Seattle Kraken.
Yeah.
So the first female bench boss. She'll be an assistant
Bench
coach.
boss.
She'll be an assistant coach for the Seattle Kraken. Let me just find this name here. I want to say it was Campbell.
Yeah, that'll be. It's cool to see that stuff start coming around. I mean, everybody knows, guys and girls all have, critical way of thinking and things, and getting some of the ladies more worked into the sports is an interesting thing to see, and I think it's great. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird, because it's like not the fact that she's going to be a part of it, but it's weird that it'll be like the world's first in the NHL.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it took this long to get here, but it's good. We're making moves in the right direction. I think it's well deserved. She had a decorated career within the Olympics and playing for the Women's Worlds and all that stuff. But the name is Jessica Campbell. She's from Saskatchewan, Canada. So
that's hilarious.
Joined
I think I know her dad.
Oh, do you?
Anyways.
Anyways, that's where we're from, Saskatchewan, Canada here as well. So it's nice to have somebody here who represents where we're a part of, I guess. Yeah. But it's we got a lot of Saskatchewan guys as well on the team. But it's just exciting news for Seattle Kraken, the first ever female behind the bench as an assistant coach in the NHL history.
It's gonna be exciting to see how that all unfolds and what happens. And yeah, as I mentioned, October 17th, those two new players there will be playing. Chicago and San Jose will be playing against each other. I'm interested to see how much one player is gonna be can absorb 1 year of experience in the NHL, and if you'll be able to actually see it between the two teams playing.
Yeah.
So I think the younger you are, you get 1 year experience in the NHL playing at a higher caliber. I think you learn quite a bit more than what people give you credit for. So I'm excited to see, if both players can keep up with each other and who ends up on top.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be an exciting year. A lot of changes, a lot of new stuff to look forward to, as there usually is coming into a new season in NHL here. So we'll keep you posted if anything else shows up, and we'll talk to you again next week. Have a fantastic evening.
Cheerio.